Welcome to Trending Now USA, and I am Bella. Today's developing story centers on one of the most astonishing rises in modern women's tennis. Elena Rybakina's surge past Coco Gauff, Aryna Sabalenka, and several other established names, culminating in her shattering a 9-year record that had remained untouched through some of the fiercest eras of WTA competition. What makes this moment extraordinary is not only the record itself, but the timing, the precision of her dominance, and the way the tennis world, from analysts to former champions, is reacting to what appears to be a defining shift in the balance of power on the women's tour. Rybakina's rise has been steady, powerful, and unusually composed, and over the past year, she has transformed herself from a respected major champion into the new measuring stick for consistency, athletic durability, and the type of mental clarity that separates strong players from generational ones. As we dive deeper into this development, it is important to understand that WTA competition in recent years has been defined by volatility, major champions rotating, rankings shifting quickly, and young stars emerging almost overnight. Through this landscape, players like Iga Swiatek, Coco Gauff, Aryna Sabalenka, Ons Jabeur, Jessica Pegula, and Caroline Garcia have all held moments of dominance. But none of them, even during their peak stretches, managed to break the 9-year record Rybakina just surpassed. This record, involving consecutive top-level match wins across combined WTA 1000 and WTA 500 competition leading into major events, had been set by one of the tour's all-time greats and held strong through eras of big hitters, fast servers, and clay court tacticians. The fact that it has fallen now and fallen to Rybakina is sending shockwaves through the sport. Analysts say the most striking element of Rybakina's achievement is not the number itself, but how she achieved it, rarely dropping sets, outlasting elite opponents in physical battles, and maintaining a calm that borders on unnerving. Her demeanor has always been muted, almost emotionless in comparison to her rivals. Yet that quiet presence has become a powerful psychological weapon. Opponents describe her as unreadable, difficult to disrupt, and nearly impossible to shake once she finds her rhythm. And that rhythm has been present for months now, pushing her ahead of Coco Gauff, overtaking Sabalenka in multiple statistical categories and rewriting impressions of her ceiling as an athlete. Throughout the season, Rybakina faced Gauff 3 times, Sabalenka twice, and several other high-ranking players who had previously stood between her and the top tier. Instead of falling into the inconsistency that had defined some earlier phases of her career, she became the player who dictated tempo, controlled rallies with her trademark flat drives, and neutralized the biggest hitters with precision rather than brute force. In each meeting with Gauff, her strategy remained consistent: target the backhand, take time away, and force the American phenom to defend in uncomfortable positions. Gauff, known for her elite movement and return game, found herself on the defensive far earlier in rallies than she is used to. The result was not a collapse, but a clear tactical mismatch created by Rybakina's rising mastery of pacing. Against Sabalenka, the dynamics were different but equally telling. Where Gauff brings versatility and spin, Sabalenka brings raw force, aggression, and explosive serving. Yet even Sabalenka's power seemed to be absorbed by Rybakina's ability to redirect shots with minimal effort. Some analysts described it as the most efficient tennis on tour, comparing her ball striking to prime Petra Kvitova combined with the footwork discipline of Kim Clijsters. Every time Sabalenka attempted to overpower her, Rybakina met the pace early, flattened out her responses, and turned defense into sudden attack. Sabalenka, typically one of the most confident players on the circuit, admitted after their most recent match that she felt she had run out of ideas. This is one of the major reasons the tennis world is buzzing. Rybakina is not winning because her opponents are making errors. She is winning because she is dictating their errors. It is a vital distinction, one that former champions often cite as the true sign of inevitable dominance. For months now, commentators have sensed that Rybakina's game, when healthy and functioning at full capacity, might be the most dangerous on the tour. But until now, it had never been sustained long enough to break long-standing records or shift the narrative of who truly stands at the top of women's tennis. The 9-year record she shattered originally belonged to a player widely considered one of the most consistent in modern history. That record served as a benchmark for excellence. Even during periods where the WTA featured Hall of Fame-level talent, none of them managed to clear that threshold. Not Swiatek during her dominant clay runs, not Osaka during her hard-court reign, not Serena in her late-career powerhouse seasons. Rybakina doing it now, in arguably the most competitive and unpredictable period of the tour in decades, speaks to something deeper. She has unlocked not only consistency, but a formula that holds up against every style of player. Fans across social media have reacted with a mixture of surprise and inevitability. Some say they always knew this was coming, pointing back to her Wimbledon title as the moment her potential was confirmed. Others admit they underestimated her, perhaps misled by her quiet personality or by her lack of flashy theatrics on court. But regardless of prior perceptions, the global tennis audience has aligned around one idea: Rybakina is no longer simply a contender. She's a threat to redefine the structure of the top 5 and possibly the next era of the sport. Her mental approach is a major factor in this transformation. Coaches who have worked with her describe her as one of the least impulsive players they have ever trained. Her decision-making remains consistent, no matter the scoreline. She rarely celebrates, rarely reacts, rarely shifts her facial expression at all. In a sport where emotional swings can determine outcomes, Rybakina's steady energy creates a sense of inevitability. Opponents feel as though they must play at 110% every moment, because the moment their level drops, Rybakina's precision begins to punish them. This pressure, subtle, silent, but constant, has broken many players long before the match is over. Her physical training regimen also evolved significantly over the past year. After struggling with fatigue and minor injuries in previous seasons, Rybakina and her team restructured her schedule, nutrition plan, recovery cycles, and match preparation routines. The difference has been visible. Matches that once showed slight drops in intensity toward the second set now reflect an athlete who looks stronger as the match progresses. Where Sabalenka might show frustration, where Gauff might rely on emotion to push through a tough stretch, Rybakina simply continues with the same measured footwork and unchanging swing. Her coach has hinted that they have focused heavily on maximizing efficiency, using minimal unnecessary movement, refining balance, refining transition steps, and reducing strain in her swing mechanics. The result is a type of motion economy rarely seen in modern tennis. Even when she hits a 190 km/h serve or a forehand winner from the corner, her body language remains calm, controlled, without the appearance of exertion. This efficiency is a major reason she's been able to maintain long winning streaks during physically demanding parts of a season. Now, with Rybakina surging past Gauff and Sabalenka in several performance metrics, people are asking a much bigger question: what does this mean for the future of the WTA? For months, the narrative focused on the big three of Swiatek, Gauff, and Sabalenka. Each brought a distinct identity: Swiatek the clay court queen with unmatched footwork and spin variation, Gauff the strategic defender with rising offensive weapons, and Sabalenka the power-forward aggressor with some of the biggest hitting the WTA has ever seen. But now, analysts are proposing that the real big three might need to include, or even center around, Rybakina. Her matches this season have also drawn notable increases in global viewership. Broadcasters have remarked that fans respond not only to her record-breaking performances, but to the stylistic aesthetics of her game. Her ball striking is clean, her movement is elegant, and her composure adds a layer of intrigue to her personality. She is not animated, but her calm creates a mystique that many find compelling. She does not need theatrics. Her tennis speaks loudly enough. Sponsors, too, have begun shifting their attention. What started as a modest presence in global endorsements is now expanding quickly. Her newfound dominance is pushing brands to reconsider their long-term partnerships on the tour. While Gauff remains a powerful marketing figure and Sabalenka continues to hold global influence, Rybakina offers a different type of appeal: understated but powerful, subtle but commanding, calm but unshakable. This contrast is helping diversify the narrative in a sport that often spotlights dramatic personalities. With this rise, however, comes increased scrutiny. Analysts have begun dissecting not only her strengths, but also areas that might challenge her sustainability at this elite level. Some argue that her calm demeanor, while advantageous, may also hinder her from making key tactical shifts during intense moments. Others warn that her reliance on timing and precision could become vulnerable during matches played in extreme conditions, windy courts, slower clay surfaces, or high-humidity environments where ball bounce becomes unpredictable. Yet despite these concerns, Rybakina has repeatedly proven that she can manage discomfort. Clay remains her weakest surface statistically, but in recent matches, even there she has shown signs of increased adaptability. Her ability to step inside the baseline, flatten out balls, and redirect pace gives her tools that translate across surfaces far better than critics anticipated. Another crucial development in her rise is the widening gap between how she performs in early rounds versus late rounds. Early in her career, Rybakina sometimes struggled with lower-ranked opponents, dropping sets or losing unexpectedly due to lapses in focus. That phase appears to have ended. Her current season shows that she approaches early rounds with sharpened discipline, taking care of business quickly and conserving energy for the tougher stages of tournaments. The efficiency of these victories is a major reason she has accumulated enough consecutive wins to break the 9-year record. Throughout all this, Coco Gauff has remained gracious in her public comments, praising Rybakina's improvement and acknowledging that the WTA is experiencing a uniquely competitive era. Gauff herself has had one of the strongest seasons of her career, yet even she admits that Rybakina's level has been next-level consistent. Sabalenka, too, expressed admiration despite frustration, noting that Rybakina's calmness is one of the hardest things to play against. What is clear now is that Rybakina's name is firmly etched into the season's storyline. She is no longer appearing in conversations about who might rise next. She has risen. And with this record-shattering performance, she has positioned herself as one of the defining forces in the sport's current era. If she continues this trajectory, the implications are enormous. Year-end championships, Grand Slam seedings, and even the long-term historical conversation of ranking points and multi-slam potential all shift dramatically. Fans and analysts are already imagining possible finals: Rybakina versus Swiatek, Rybakina versus Gauff, Rybakina versus Sabalenka, each offering a unique contrast that brings excitement to upcoming tournaments. But beyond the metrics, beyond the rankings, beyond the statistics, what stands out most is the story itself. A player who once struggled for consistent form has now risen with a level of discipline that commands respect from every corner of the sport. A player who used to drift in and out of momentum now controls the rhythm of nearly every match she plays. A player who often remained outside the spotlight has stepped directly into it, not with noise, but with impact. This is Elena Rybakina's era in the making, and the tennis world is watching closely. And with that, this has been Trending Now USA, and I am Bella.